National Chair, Executive Committee and members of the Prison Officers Association, thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. When I was appointed Director General of the Northern Ireland Prison Service 3 years ago, I knew I was stepping in to one of the most demanding leadership roles in the public sector. Early in my career, I spent 6 years working in Northern Ireland prisons, not as an officer, but as a clerical officer. I worked in prison stores, in uniform stores, and in the prison hospital. That gave me a front row seat to the reality of prison life. I saw how prisons really function. I saw how much depends on teamwork, humour even on the hardest days, and people stepping up without being asked. I saw the pressures officers carry, often without recognition, and how much responsibility sits in the ordinary decisions made every day. That experience stayed with me. It gave me a lifelong respect for prison work and for the people who do it. So after nearly 30 years elsewhere in the civil service, it was a real honour to return. Felt less like arriving somewhere new and more like coming back to a family who shaped me early in my career. Let me be clear from the outset. I see the job you do, I understand the weight of it, and I value it deeply. I know I'm speaking today to colleagues from across Scotland, England and Wales, and while our systems may differ, the reality of prison work is the same. Rising populations, increasing complexity, violence, scrutiny, and a public that often only notices what you do when something goes wrong. What I've learned quickly is prison services succeed because of staff, because of the judgment exercised in moments that never make headlines, but keep people alive, keep order, and keep the public safe. We can't understand the Northern Ireland Prison Service today without acknowledging our past. For decades, being a prison officer in Northern Ireland was not just a job, it was an act of extraordinary courage. From the late 1960s, civil unrest escalated into over 30 years of conflict. More than 3,500 people lost their lives. 32 prison officers were murdered simply for doing their jobs. Officers face danger every day within the prison walls, but for many, that threat continued and extended far beyond them. Their families lived with that reality, often quietly and without recognition. That matters, and it must never be forgotten. In 1998, the Belfast Good Friday Agreement marked a turning point, introducing local democracy, placing a stronger focus on human rights, and shifting our prisons from containment towards rehabilitation. We closed prisons synonymous with the conflict and began building something new. Today, our prison population is overwhelmingly unrelated to political violence, but a threat remains from distant Republican organisations, and our staff still carry that risk every day. We are proud of the service our staff gave during those dark days, and it's important that the story of conflict is told to future generations. That history is not just a chapter in a textbook, it is part of the DNA of the Northern Ireland Prison Service. We honour that past, not by standing still, but by carrying forward its values: courage, professionalism, discipline, and loyalty. Since then, the prison service has undergone fundamental change, from containment to rehabilitation, from conflict to stability. We've restructured staffing, modernised training, and redefined our purpose. We are no longer just holding people safely. We are part of a justice system focused on reducing reoffending and protecting the public. And that transition hasn't been easy, and it isn't finished. But today, we are a service that has moved from conflict to being a cornerstone of a largely peaceful society. Today, we operate 3 prison establishments, an escort and court custody service and a prison service college, supported by around 1,350 prison officers and 250 administrative staff. Our population today stands at just over 2,100, an increase of more than 25% in 3 years. Around 45% of those people are held in our prisons on remand. And all of this in the safest part of the United Kingdom. So population has risen, complexity has risen, risk has risen, pressure has risen, and we are meeting those challenges in the context of intense debate about the purpose of prisons, the rights of prisoners, and the expectations of the public and of our politicians. And yet, outcomes remain strong. Hydebank Wood has been described by inspectors as a beacon of hope. McGilligan Prison as one of the best prisons in the UK. Those outcomes aren't created by policy. They are created by people. Prison officers are often the first person someone sees at their lowest level and at their lowest point, and the first to respond when things go wrong. They are the heartbeat of our service. So my role is simple. It's to ensure that our prisons have enough staff to do the job safely. Ensure that those staff have the skills and the training to do their job well, and the support to sustain long and fulfilling careers. Because where we invest in staff, outcomes follow. But it's not just about numbers, it's about capability. Within 5 years, many of our most experienced leaders will retire. Leadership in prisons cannot be parachuted in. It must be grown from the landings up. That's why we're investing in leadership development at every level, working with colleagues in Ireland and Scotland to build a pipeline of leaders who understand the front line and the judgment this job demands. Working in prisons places unique demands on people, so we've taken a whole service approach to well-being, investing in counselling and psychological support and physiotherapy, resilience training, and early intervention after critical incidents. This isn't about slogans, it's about keeping people safe. And we've listened through the first ever people survey for prison staff in Northern Ireland. We've worked, and we continue to work closely with people across the service, senior leaders, staff groups, and our recognised trade unions to act on what we've heard, because listening only matters if it leads to action. I believe in strong industrial relations, because when relationships break down, it's officers who pay the price. And when they work, outcomes improve. Conference, I want to recognise the work of POA members in Northern Ireland, and particularly our area committee, for the way they engage robustly, constructively, and in the best interests of their members. We don't always agree, but together we have built a respectful relationship. Pay matters, so we've taken it seriously. Through direct negotiation and agreement with the POA and PGA, we were able to deliver the 2024 and 2025 pay awards, with the pay review body simply noting the outcome. We've reduced the length of the custody prison officer pay scale and significantly increased the value of each increment. Across all grades, pay scales have increased by over £5,000 in the last 3 years. It hasn't fixed everything, and I won't pretend otherwise, but it has sent a clear message. Our prison officers are valued. At a time when it would have been easier to cut training, we chose to invest in it. We've worked with staff groups and trade unions to develop and implement new robust recruitment processes that ensure applicants are clear about the challenges of the role and robustly tested against them. New entrant officers now complete a 12-week training programme, which includes 2 weeks' work shadowing in the area they will be posted to, linked to an 18-month university accredited qualification. Staff told us that the first year in the job was particularly hard, so now everyone is assigned a mentor in their first posting. Because mistakes in prisons are paid for in blood, not in spreadsheets. Last year, we held the largest passing out parade of new officers the service has ever seen. A moment that mattered, not just in scale, but in what it represents. It marked a deliberate shift in how we recognise and value people from the very beginning of their careers. Families were invited to attend to see, often for the first and only time, their loved one in uniform as they step into this vital role. As due to the ongoing security threat, our officers still cannot travel to and from work wearing their uniform. Because behind every officer is a family who supports them, and they should share in that sense of achievement and pride. These ceremonies are about more than tradition. They're about setting the tone for the kind of service we are building, one that values professionalism, that recognises commitment and instills pride from day one. And that commitment doesn't stop at recruitment. We continue to recruit to meet the demands of a growing prison population, not only to keep our prisons safe, but to deliver our core purpose of rehabilitation. Taken together, these changes reflect a wider effort to strengthen our culture, to ensure every officer feels recognised, respected, and proud of the role they play in making Northern Ireland safer. But the big question is this: is it making a difference? I know that's what matters most. And while it's still early days, the signs are encouraging. It's essential that our workforce reflects the society we serve, and a balanced mix of female and male officers strengthens how we operate day to day, improving communication, de-escalation, and the overall culture within our prisons. Females now make up 34% of our workforce and 39% of our governor cadre. A few years ago, we were losing around 7% of our workforce. Today, that's 5%. That means more people are choosing to stay, and that matters. I've no doubt the changes we've made in recruitment, training, support, and pay are making a real difference, but we're not complacent. We know there's more to do, and there's a clear appetite to go further from our leadership team and from our trade union partners. I want to be honest with you. This year will be challenging. The Northern Ireland Executive has not yet agreed a budget, and the indicative funding currently available to the prison service falls significantly short of what is required. That creates real pressures, not only in maintaining our existing prison estate, but also in progressing much-needed new accommodation, and importantly, delivering fair and meaningful pay progression for our staff. and continuing our shared ambition to move towards one officer grade across the service. But let me be clear, we will not lose sight of what matters. I will continue to advocate strongly and consistently for the funding we need to support our staff, maintain safe and effective prisons, and deliver on the progress we have collectively worked so hard to deliver. We must also focus on those sent to our care. Many arrive from the most disadvantaged parts of society, with addiction, poor literacy, poor mental health, and limited opportunity. If we simply lock those people up and do nothing else, we fail the public. Our staff are leading work in trauma-informed practice, restorative justice, and therapeutic environments, because protecting the public means breaking cycles of harm. An academic study is underway to understand the level and impact of adverse childhood experiences across our entire prison population. And we're moving to become a trauma-informed organisation. We've reviewed our prisoner development and psychology models to ensure we can support every prisoner and respond to the changing demographics and more complex needs of our prison population. We can't do this alone. So we work with over 40 organisations to support this work, delivering healthcare, education, and a range of supports and services. We bring other government agencies into prisons. Social welfare and housing advisors from our Department for Communities now work within our prisons, preparing people for release and providing a warm handover to those services in the community on release. Voluntary and community sector organisations provide support ranging from addiction therapy to chess clubs to art therapy and creative writing delivered by former prisoners. We've established an employers forum to support more people into employment and are using that forum to inform us on how we can better shape our education curriculum and training opportunities to meet the needs of employers and the labour market. My ambition is that prisons become increasingly more permeable, meaning that community-based delivery becomes much more embedded within the walls of our prison. For too long, the prison service in Northern Ireland was the forgotten service. That's changing as we move to a position where we are part of the community, not apart from it. We focus on recognising what our officers do. The officers who talk vulnerable men and women down from a point of self-harm. The officers who are giving people the skills to change their lives. The governors who manage the pressures of recent population surges with expertise and capability. We're now seeing that recognition from outside the prison walls, from the wider public and from our elected representatives. And I must give credit to Ivor Dunn, our POA chair, for his work to support this. One of our local councils recently conferred the Freedom of the Borough on the prison service, and others are planning to have similar ceremonies to remember the sacrifices of the past and to highlight our part in building a safer Northern Ireland. Recognition should not be rare. It should be part of everyday culture. So the Northern Ireland Prison Service consistently secures national recognition for its work, with staff regularly receiving honours and Butler Trust awards for their outstanding innovative work. But we've also introduced awards and long service events to recognise the commitment of our staff. Small gestures, but ones that carry real significance across the service. Later this year, Belfast will host an international prisons conference. Leaders from across the world are coming to see our service, not because we are perfect, but because of the journey we have taken, the challenges we have faced, and our determination to keep learning, improving, and moving forward together. The road ahead will not be easy. Budgets are tight. The demands of the job are greater than ever. But this is a profession that understands resilience, one that has faced adversity before and come through it. I am deeply proud to lead the Northern Ireland Prison Service, and I will continue to stand alongside our staff, to listen, to support, and to work in partnership with the POA, so that together we build a service that is not only effective, but one that we can all be truly proud of. Conference, thank you.